Hello once again. I've got the this blog's going to be on the potential screenplay nominees for this year's Oscars. And I suppose it's probably worth noting at this point that in case you were wondering about any of the picks or any of the choices so far, it's probably worth noting which films I have not yet seen. In case you were feeling that I was being unfair to any of them, I have not yet had a chance to see, as I pointed out earlier, most of the foreign films are documentaries. And as I said, I need to see Princess and the Frog, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and a handful of the lesser-known animated features. Have not yet seen Bright Star, have not seen The Messenger, have not yet seen Crazy Heart. That's one of the big ones I know. It was a double Golden Globe winner, and it's actually the only Golden Globe winner that I've not yet seen. Let me think here. There's probably a couple of others that are really worth mentioning. Moon comes to mind. I have not seen that one yet. And there's probably some of the foreign films that are in contention in various other categories. To the best of my knowledge, Tokyo Sonata should be a contender. Sin Nombre, I think, should be a contender. From what I know, not yet seen It's Complicated or In the Loop, not foreign films, but, well, In the Loop is a British film, but, whatever. Or The Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. I know all those are getting some press. Back to the foreign films, Thirst would be a contender that I haven't seen yet. Apparently not a strong contender because I haven't heard many people talking about it, but it might be one, So that's just a few of them just to throw out there. Seraphine, which is getting a lot of praise, although apparently it's only eligible in the foreign category. What were some of the others that got a lot of praise? Well, I don't know. If I think of any of them as I go, I'll mention them. But that's just to let you know, if you're wondering about any of the gaps, it doesn't mean I didn't like your movie. But anyway, for adapted screenplay, I know there were a lot of people out there that were very upset with Where the Wild Things Are. I was not one of them. And I will say, for the record, I grew up with that book too. I loved that book as a kid too. And I think that Dave Eggers and Spike Jonze did a remarkable job bringing it to the big screen, fleshing it out to make an actual movie. It is a little darker than the book. It definitely has a little more angst to it, I guess, than I would like. But mostly it's a great film, and I give them very mad props for their adaptation. A couple of films where I'm not familiar with the source material really make up the next five. Jason Reitman and Sheldon Turner's screenplay for Up in the Air, Scott Z. Burns' screenplay for The Informant, Nick Hornby for An Education, and Jeffrey Fletcher for Precious round out my top five. All those were very, very, very well-written movies. And I may not know source material, so I'm not sure how the adaptation stacks up, but the movies were very well-written. Peter Strawn for The Men Who Stare at Goats, and Wes Anderson and Noah Baumbach for The Fantastic Mr. Fox round out my list of ones that are definitely Oscar-quality screenplays, and I am very impressed by all of them. Again, I don't know the source material on those. There's a few, I'll point out actually the ones I do know the source material because they're easier than the ones I don't, sadly. But Henry Selick made a lovely screenplay for Coraline, very well done. Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, and Peter Jackson got a ton of flack for their screenplay for The Lovely Bones. A lot of people accuse them of being unfaithful to the material. I haven't read the book yet. I want to. I've heard so many great things about it. But I will say this, from someone who has not read the book, it's a pretty well written movie. And I liked the adaptation. So I may feel otherwise when I read the book. I don't know. Ronan Bennett, Michael Mann, and Ann Biderman did an okay job with Public Enemies. It was pretty good. This is one where I know the source material intimately, very, very, very well. Steve Kloves has butchered yet another Harry Potter book. However, Half-Blood Prince, I've said this from the start and I will stand by it, despite the fact he butchered this one. The butchery was much less atrocious than in any of the previous 4 he wrote or the other one that was written by someone else. The first 2 were too choppy. They were basically faithful but abridged versions of the books. They were way too choppy. The next 3 changed so much. This one actually stays fairly faithful except for a couple of key scenes. Anyone who knows the book and the movie will know in particular the scene at the end that I'm talking about. That was like, what is wrong with you, man? Other than that, the movie was pretty well adapted, and I have hopes that the final 2 will be pretty good. As long as they're at least as good as this one, I can live with it. And that's saying something. I'm also fairly familiar with the source material for Star Trek. I can't claim to be an expert. I never was a Trekkie. I watched The Next Generation when it was on TV, but I probably saw a quarter of the episodes. I've never actually watched an episode of the original series all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces. So I know the pop culture icons represented in the movie. I caught a lot of the Easter eggs thrown out to the fans, but I know I did not catch all of them. I will say, as a person who is familiar with Star Trek but not a huge fan, this movie did an excellent job adapting the material. So Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman get that props from me. I'll also send a shout out real quick to The Blind Side, District 9, Watchmen, Sherlock Holmes, Julie and Julia, and Evictus. Maybe a lot of those played fast and loose with the source material. A couple of them were kind of clunky and could have been better, but they were all good, solid screenplays for good, solid movies. So, as far as original screenplay, I'm going to have to do another blog on that one, so I'll cut it here.